Hey Tanner, how's it going?
Oh, good. What about you, Brandon?
Doing good. We're just gonna do a little post game reaction. The BYU Cincinnati game. We're about a day late, but Tanner, you were at the game. Tell us a little bit about that. How was the atmosphere there at Lavelle Edwards?
Yeah, the place was rocking. I love the night games. It's just full moon out. The amount of money they must have spent on fireworks. I don't know if on TV they
Yeah,
showed any of that. The like team
I saw
runs
the
out.
I saw the
Yeah,
fire jump rope and crap like that.
yeah. So the team runs out and they'll usually shoot some off, but they were shooting off a ton. And then it was like during moments during the game they'd shoot some off, and then there was like a full on fireworks show at the end, but it must have been joining the Big 12 type of,
Yeah,
what
special
we're.
occasion.
Yeah, I know people are upset about the field that they didn't put enough money into painting the field right,
Oh
but
yeah. So you're
it,
you're a you're a you're a field maintenance guy. Give us your insight.
yeah, so I've painted fields before. Painted a big logo middle of the field once, and when you're close up and personal on it, it's really easy to see all of the grass showing and everything. The amount of paint you would have to dump to have it be like a flawless, no grass, kind of splotchy. I don't know. I thought in person you could tell it just didn't look crisp, but I still thought it was cool. So,
You know,
uh,
it's like one of their first times filling the end zones with paint, so we'll give them a break. What else
give
were
them
you
a
gonna say?
break. But
Yeah.
this, one thing that we developed during the week that scared me about this game and kind of shifted my perspective was the spread. I'll pull it up. We saw this spread jump from 2.5 BYU to two, 2.5, three, even once I saw it for
Yeah.
Cincinnati. I tried to look at injuries. I couldn't see really what made that jump. Vegas saw something, but then even I saw the line come back before game time right around BYU -1. So I don't know what was
Yeah,
going
that's where I
on with
saw it.
that. And I mean, BYU ends up winning and covering the spread in a game that I thought Cincinnati beat themselves in a lot of things. It
Yeah.
felt like BYU had a lot of luck on their side, and we'll dive into some of that. But what about you? What were your feelings going into
So
this one?
yeah, going into this one, I was definitely nervous, but I did see that line change to BYU -1 right before game, so I was like feeling pretty hopeful. Ben Bywater was missing, so I was nervous about that. I was nervous the run game wouldn't be good enough. Um, but then there were some things that made me confident, which was like the night game at home, Big 12 opener. Felt like they were going to be ready for that, and they were. Um, but yeah, those night games, I think they're like 29-1 in all the last 30
Yeah,
night
it was
games.
something. It was something crazy.
So we just got to keep getting those, and I think the Big 12 likes putting us at because they get the late time slot if they put BYU at the end, and so it kind of works out both ways. But yeah, I was definitely a little nervous, but feeling like I felt like it was like a 50-50 game going into it. Is that kind of how you felt?
Oh yeah, it definitely felt. I had Cincinnati a little bit. Like BYU could win, but it felt like BYU would have to really figure some stuff out. And I saw some glowing moments from BYU. Specifically, uh, this isn't one of our main points, but the punting. Okay. I am just like the punting is for real this year. We've never had a bad punter that I can remember, but this with Rico earlier in the game, BYU punts it, and the guy has to run backwards to retrieve it. Right, does what you're not supposed to do. The classic like catch it on the run going backwards. Not
Yeah.
supposed to do it, but he gets it. And then you see later in the game the same thing happen where he misjudges a punt. It bounces over his head. I'm thinking we'll play a lot more disciplined teams when it comes to the punt return, but knowing that we have a punter that I think he's averaging at something like 45 yards per punt.
Yeah,
He's
in
just
this game you can
booming the
see here,
ball.
51 yards per punt
Oh
in
yeah.
this one.
And it's
So
just like if we saw it in SUU, it kind of gave them some trouble. There were some where they bobbled. knowing that we have that from the punter, that he drives not only the team back into farther field position, but also putting the pressure on punts where that are hard to judge because they go farther than normal. It just good things happening in that department. So
Yeah, Rico, he's insane, man. He just booms it down there. Just and like you said, like the guys will line up like in the wrong spot, and it just goes right over their head, and they kind of either choose to let it go by them or try to run back and fair catch it or whatever it was. And we saw the mistake late in the game for Cincinnati,
yeah, which
that really flipped everything. Yeah,
such a big. Cincinnati comes up with a big stop, only down 8, with a chance to march it down the field with third down conversions with the running quarterback. It just was the perfect storm for them to come back, and unfortunately, that's a killer. That's just a real.
Yeah. I couldn't believe he tried to jump for that one.
Yeah.
What was the reaction like at the stadium?
Well, it's like it's quiet. It's a big punt, so people are cheering, and then all of a sudden the cheers go from like, "Oh, great punt," to like, "What the heck is that guy doing? He touched it. BYU's got it." It was more kind of disbelief, is how I felt. And then BYU's got it and punches it in the end zone. So
yeah, so kind of getting into the game and recapping it a little bit. After the game, I felt like it was just like the Kansas game, except BYU was on the other side this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Like 2 big turnovers that really hurt Cincinnati. I feel like Cincinnati offensively kind of outplayed BYU. If you look at the stats, that's what they show as well. And I feel like the Kansas game, we kind of outplayed Kansas, but it was just those 2 mistakes, the fumble recovery and the interception for a touchdown last week. And then this week it was the interception for a touchdown from Robinson. That was an awesome way to open the game.
Yeah, it was.
And then the punt, like we said, that turnover there. Just like those are the 2 main plays that really helped BYU win, I think.
Yeah, it was like identical to what happened to them against that Miami, Ohio, where they outproduced in yards against Miami, Ohio, and they outproduced BYU in yards, and yet somehow you finish the game with a loss, and it does come from the interception that I don't know who he was throwing to. I don't know. It was just I texted you during the game, and I was like, who was that to? Like, not a soul in sight, but the good things that stood out to me with BYU, like I said, they got lucky. One lucky play was that pass to Roberts, and I don't think it was supposed to go to him. There's been talk on Twitter of, he was going to him, he caught it in stride.
So Slovis did say, he did admit that it was not for him, it was for Keanu Hill.
Yeah.
And that he got lucky, so.
If you haven't seen the interview with Slovis with BYU TV, they show a clip, he gets hit, and when he stands up, he's not celebrating. He's like looking down the field like, because it wasn't the receiver he's going to. I thought it was a for sure interception. It just did not. It was one of those ones right out of the hand. You're like, uh-oh, something's not right. And then all of a sudden, or just Roberts having a big game. What he had like 100 and or something yards coming up big. We already knew he was talented. He had shown glimpses of that when Jaron Hall was throwing to him, having the ability to make the big plays. And it's what I said was lacking in the beginning of the year, was those deep balls, challenging offenses with the deep attack and going to him a lot. Isaac Rex only had 1 reception. Darius Lassiter only 1 reception. And those were people we saw a lot more of in the Kansas game. So it's nice to see the weapons. We don't have to rely on one thing through the air attack, because we were dumping it off to Rex against Kansas. That seemed to be the only thing that was going. And so it's nice to know that people will step up when they need to. BYU's finding what will work against a team and making it happen. So I thought that was really good.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. And kind of a slow start for BYU. I mean, they had the pick 6 that kind of like kept them in the game, but I think the offense was really struggling, especially Slovis. I think he was like 1 for 7 for 2 yards to start the game or something like that.
Yeah.
But then there was, 36 seconds left going into halftime. BYU gets the ball and kind of just starts slinging it, and it's working, and they drove down the field and scored. That was, you talked about how that pass was hanging in the air, the touchdown pass,
yes.
that first one. But he was just wide open, and there was no reason to force it in there. So
No, I would have liked to see it with a little more pace, a little more, a better trajectory. I mean, it floated. in the stadium, I just watched it hang. It felt like 10 seconds. Like at any moment, the defender felt like he could have chased it down and gotten there. But like you said, no reason to really force it. There's no reason to try to throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball into the guy's chest.
Yeah,
They
it
got the
was hanging up
touchdown,
there.
but
And then you were talking about trick plays. We saw a few, but they didn't necessarily work like we thought.
no, there wasn't any of the like triple pitches we've seen. There was the one. I think LJ Martin threw a pass, and he's listed under the passing, at least on ESPN. I was trying to remember where in the game I saw him. But
So he threw I think it was a pass to Slovis. Slovis went out, but then it didn't really go anywhere. I don't know if you remember that. They tried to run that. There's a play they ran with Jaron Hall, I think it was last year, where they kind of have everybody go left, like a running play.
Yes.
And then he turns around and he's supposed to be wide open down the field, but yeah, he wasn't very open. So
no. But a lot, like I said, lots of shining moments, and we can get into what wasn't good. And it's no secret the run game is still just something feels still wrong. Yes, we rushed for what was it, 70, and LJ Martin had 2 touchdowns. And you texted me that when he can get loose, he can shine, and that's so true. When he's not being tackled 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage because nobody decides to block, they just kind of throw their hands up, right? When he can get a block, find a hole, he can make special stuff happen. Special stuff can happen with him if we figure out our like the offensive line problems, which aren't an overnight fix. We've talked about this. This is probably something we're going to have to deal with, where LJ Martin has to just really shine to break tackles at the line of scrimmage and then shine further down the field. But
yeah, he's kind of helping the offensive line right now. But if he can hit his first hole or find that first gap, he hits it. I was saying he runs really smooth. He just hits it and it bursts it. If he hits his first hole, he's going for at least 5-6 yards. And I think his touchdown run, the 29-yarder, he just hit that hole and just couldn't get tackled. Because once he starts gaining speed and gets downfield, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So it's just if he can get those, because most of the time it is just getting stuffed right at the line, losing a yard, losing 2 yards. And yeah.
So frustrating. The other thing I highlighted as a need to improve, 36% on third downs, and that's what we struggled with this whole season. Is the offense getting off. And I think the reason that was low is because at the beginning of the game seemed like nothing was happening. That's got to be something we fix, because there's going to be teams where, like when we play TCU, I know TCU just lost and we get the bye week, but TCU's going to score as many points as humanly possible for that team. They are running that offensive engine as high rev as it can go, right?
Yeah.
Scoring points. And so BYU, to keep up with that, either one has to rely on the defense, which has shown some things it can do, but also can be tested. And so I think a good combination coming in the future that we can see is defense, but staying on the field on the third downs, getting every opportunity to score that we can is going to be where we have to really find success.
Yeah, because they were right here 4 for 11 on third down. So. And they struggled, like you said, they struggled with that all year. So staying on the field, I mean, the defense is playing pretty good, but just keeping them off the field, giving them breaks, giving them rest. BYU could do better at controlling the ball for longer, like you can see here at the bottom. Cincinnati had it for 35 minutes. BYU only had it for 25 minutes. So, you kind of want to see it even, but or at least possessing for more, but it's not a big deal. But yeah, just getting the run game going. I mean, Cincinnati rushed for 242 yards on us. They were just kind of running all over the place. Emory Jones was running really well.
So frustrating.
And that's something we've been worried about. And if we're playing a mobile quarterback, I think it's going to be an issue this year.
It was every third down. Didn't matter if it was third down and 9 or if it was second down and 25. He was running and putting them right back in a position where they could convert on a shorter. It was just, it was like the middle opened up every time. And I don't know if I saw there was one play that I actually was like, okay, that was I think it was number 11 on BYU. He was moving too far to the right. The quarterback went to the left. But I know people were
Yeah.
calling out, "Put a spy on him!" You know, the classic old BYU fan
Yeah.
yelling from the back, "Put a spy on him!"
Yeah.
But it
The
was
coaches.
frustrating. Oh, it was so frustrating to see him just whoop whoop whoop, and they really didn't seem to have an answer for it. So
Yeah, I think Bywater probably being out didn't help that situation,
yeah,
but still, it was frustrating. We were playing a lot of man coverage on third downs, which
yeah,
um, once those guys kind of clear out, follow their man down the field, then there's just wide open space for him to run, and he did it a lot.
yeah,
He's the reason they were in this game as well. Him running the ball, extending drives on third down, especially those are like big, key, important plays. That's what BYU doesn't have enough of, and I think if they do, like you mentioned, they're gonna be playing a lot better. But he threw for 256, 3 touchdowns, had the crucial interception, but overall he played really well, and I think as he grows and kind of like learns, gets more experience, he's going to be a really good quarterback. I don't know how long he's planning to stay at Cincinnati. I would expect he's going to be there next year, and they'll probably be pretty good if he continues to develop. So I
yeah.
was pretty impressed with him.
Yeah. 3 losses though for Cincinnati. I know that's going to be a big talk in the fan base and everything.
Yeah,
One of them to Oklahoma, right? But the other two, BYU's no pushover, but it's a game that you'd expect to, especially coming off 2 losses. We talked about that. Who's more motivated
yeah,
after 1 loss or a team after 2? And now 3 losses is a pretty glaring thing. You know what? One thing I'm sick of. We'll go on a little tangent.
yeah. Let's do it.
The newcomers to the Big 12, right, have been getting on Twitter. Everyone's like, "Welcome to the big conference," because UCF has lost. It was like the week 1. It was UCF lost. It was Cincinnati. It was
Houston
Houston.
lost.
It
Yeah,
was and it's so now BYU finally got a win in the big boy conference. If BYU can just start winning some more and show that yes, we actually can compete in here,
yeah.
it was a little frustrating, but I get it. They did all lose, and they were to established Big 12 teams. So
But UCF really choked that game against Baylor. They were up
I didn't get
by
to see that one, but I saw
is
the
it
ending score.
so I think they were up 35-13, and Baylor came back to win 36-35. So just Baylor's a good team. They got a lot of fight in them, but I thought UCF was going to win that, and then Houston, I think they
It
lost
was
as well.
TCU. I think
Yeah,
they were playing TCU. But I think
yeah,
they played them a little close. Can't remember exactly on that one, but
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I want to see BYU kind of lead the newcomers this year.
yeah, which I think they can. Looking at what's kind of been going with the newcomers,
I thought a lot of people thought UCF and then BYU after them, but it looks like UCF is struggling to win the games they should, and BYU's 4-1. So and there's winnable games. West Virginia though, they beat TCU,
yeah, I saw that one.
so they're looking
Doing
pretty good.
way better than we picked them. I was
Yeah.
like West Virginia, but
Oh well, I thought they would win like 3 games the whole season, and they've already won 4. So,
uh-huh.
but we also picked BYU to win 5 total games, and they have 4 already. So,
2 off, and I've said this. Everyone I talk to, I continue to bring it up because it feels good. 2 wins away from a bowl game in a season where we were projected at 5 to barely miss out on the bowl game. We can get 2 more wins easy, 3, and then I think 4's you're approaching the ceiling. But TCU's a winnable game. We'll dive into that one later. It's bye week this week. Great time to prepare to play
yeah,
TCU, who will be coming. BYU, unfortunately, comes off of this one with a win energy where there's lots of things to improve on. And TCU comes off of the loss energy where they know exactly what they need to improve on. You always have to be careful when you win a game like this, where another team beats you, to not let your head get big, which we've seen from BYU. But
yep,
so
yeah. And they will be playing this week at Iowa State, so we'll see if they can win that one. That might change
Okay.
the energy a little bit if they can beat Iowa State. Maybe they have a little bit less things they need to worry about. But their offense is really high powered. They run the ball really well. They pass it Like I could see a game like the Colorado game with BYU, and we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
so let's kind of like to end it. If you're a Cincinnati fan, how do you feel right now? And then if as a BYU fan, how do we feel going into kind of looking forward?
Yeah, I said it. If I was a Bearcat fan, to lose three straight just feels yuck, right? It's a scary feeling of a trend. I don't know who they play next. I haven't seen Big 12 schedule for them, but
Yeah, I could probably find out, but
yeah,
go ahead.
three never feels good. So lots to figure out there. We talked about their red zone scoring, um, which seems to be. I know against BYU they ended up kicking 2 field goals even though they entered the red zone. Where if you're only getting 3 when you should get 7 because you're in the red zone, that's going to kill you every time. But as a BYU fan, which I am, speak from experience,
Yeah,
it feels
how do
good.
you feel?
It feels really good to get the win, especially after that Kansas game because it was a complete flip script, right? Kansas unlucky, Cincinnati lucky, things are going our way. And it showed that yes, we can rely on the air attack again. As Kansas, we were trying to go to it. It's the only thing that kept us in that game. And then to carry it over into Cincinnati. And it's going to be the way we compete against TCU, who has struggled with the air attack, defending it. BYU is going to be able to go in there and attempt to use the air attack to do great things there. And so, as a BYU fan, I think it's a great bounce back. And feeling the energy in the stadium, it felt like people were still so excited. Yes, we lost to Kansas, but it feels different. It feels different
Yeah,
with the losses because yes, we're not an independent school anymore. We went from that Kansas get excited game to Cincinnati get excited game instead of where we were independent, where it'd be like, oh, we're playing the bigger Arkansas team, and then it's like, and then next week we're playing some,
Texas State or whatever.
that you
Yeah,
the energy level is like we lost, and now we're gonna go beat up on the team. This one felt like, okay, we lost. Let's figure it out quick because it's a big game. And so I think that's how it's going to feel for the rest of the season is there's games to get up for every week, which makes
yeah.
me happy as a BYU fan. And BYU plays to that energy. We've talked about it. They do get up for games, and that's going to be awesome to see.
Oh, I love that. Just getting to the point. If I'm a Cincinnati fan, I'm feeling like this is a slipped or like a missed opportunity not winning this game. I feel like 3 losses in a row. I'm not as optimistic about the season probably as I was before. But I definitely feel like we can compete. If I was a Cincinnati fan, I feel like they can compete in the Big 12 and maybe win a few more games because they definitely have the talent. But yeah, if I'm a Cincinnati fan, I'm not feeling the best going into the rest of the Big 12, but it's all right. But as a BYU fan, which I can speak about as well as a BYU fan, one thing is I feel very good about the past game, and I feel very good about Keaton Slovis. There was like some whispers, I guess, through the first couple weeks that he should be benched and that Finnegan should start whoever. But yeah, he's definitely very good and can move the ball. He's throwing it well. A couple mistakes, but nothing too costly. And I'm feeling good about going into the rest of the Big 12 because I think there's winnable games. Like TCU feels like obviously TCU is going to be a favorite, but it feels like you can go in there and kind of compete. Texas Tech, they're not looking as good as we thought. They're 1-3. They're definitely talented, but that could be a winnable game. So there's just like a lot of hope, I guess, for BYU. And then, like you were saying about how people got excited, I think there's no more of this like losing one game and the season's over. Like, because before it's like, okay, we either get into the playoff or a New Year's Six bowl, or we're going into the Mexico Bowl. So it's like there's nothing to really get excited about besides just winning games. But now it's like there's so many good bowl games BYU can get into. We're going to be playing in like on bigger stages, and yeah, it just feels like there's more to play for because Big 12 championship's still in reach as of right now. So
Yeah,
and we're
I'd like
5
to
games
see
in.
the odds on that. We're pretty far out, but
Yeah, but I mean, there's a
crazy things
chance
happen.
because we're 1-1 in the conference, and so is Kansas, and so is a lot of these teams. So there's definitely things to play for.
Yeah.
Texas looks good though.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone about they were throwing out, okay, Now let's see. Is it better to beat Texas and lose to Oklahoma and have the season play out that way? And I was like, well, it's better to beat both of them, right? But I it's one or the other. There's no way we beat both. And Texas, that'll be a game to see this week. Texas,
They're playing Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah, in the big Red River shootout, Red River rivalry. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch that one. See more of this Texas team who continues to, just getting it done is the best way I could say it. Simply getting it done. They'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, and they put the hurting on Kansas, but Kansas, Jalen Daniels didn't play.
Yeah, back up.
So
1 week too late, right?
Yeah, serious. I think BYU would have won for sure if he didn't play.
Yeah, Bean's still talented, but I couldn't help but right as they were like, Jalen Daniels out with back tightness, I'm like, of all the types to have your back tighten up, it's like really unfortunate for Kansas fans that he's healthy against BYU. He looks great, and then you go into a game where you really need him. And unfortunately,
going into that, if they have Daniels, I think they have a chance. They beat him last year, so you think they have a chance. But yeah, without him, it was tough to ask.
It was a tall ask, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, Texas looks good. To answer your question, let's say just for fun to end the show, if you could have the win at Texas or the win against Oklahoma at home, which one are you going to choose?
See, that's very tough. The win against Texas feels great because it's in Texas and it's a season-ruining thing for Texas, right? Like, they'll have to look back on the season and say, everything was great, and then BYU came to town. I think I take that one. The Oklahoma one feels great if they beat Texas and then come to Provo and it's a night game. I really hope it's a night game. If they put a 1:30 game,
we're screwed.
Like we struggle in those day games. They just don't come with the same energy. You get cooked in the sun, even though it won't. End of the season will be cold, which is also another one. Like, I'd rather bundle up at night than bundle up in the afternoon. Anyways, that one would feel good at home. Rush the field, get the fine from the Big 12. But I gotta say, Texas would be the one. Also because I'll be there watching it. Would be awesome to watch. But that one would feel better.
There's a lot of reasons I want to choose the Oklahoma game, at home, last Big 12 home game of the season, senior night, all the things. But I got to say at Texas would be the better win, especially if they're undefeated, because then BYU gets kind of like put on the map as like the season ruiner. And likely if they win that game, that's like the game that gets them bowl eligible and like all these awesome things. So I'd love to see the win at Texas.
It would be the way I feel for Texas fans would feel the same way I felt about Coastal Carolina when they beat us in that our one loss in the season. I know we were playing some cupcake teams with Zach Wilson, but
still,
I'll always remember the name Coastal Carolina. And BYU's bigger than Coastal Carolina. Like no Texas fan is like, who's BYU? But it would be a game everyone's like, and screw BYU because they ruined our season. But that's a tall ask. I'm really interested to see what the spread is going into that one. That'll have a lot to do with how Texas does against Oklahoma, but
I was watching that one. I was watching a little bit of the Texas-Kansas game, and I was like, dude, they're going to gash us up so bad.
I'm going to cheer if we get a first down. I'll be in the stadium just clapping. And hopefully it's better than when we played LSU. If you remember that one, it was a crazy statistic. Like, BYU didn't even cross the 50 the whole game. And unfortunately, that could be where they're at against Texas. I don't see it being that bad, but
no, I could see us putting up their defense. I mean, they have some injuries, so maybe it'll be different by then. But I think their defense we can get some points on them.
Yeah,
as long as we get some points, I'll be
21. 21. They could beat us 50-something 21, but you feel like you scored. If they shut us out, then it's like. There better be some good food in Texas to eat, or I'm gonna probably cry myself to sleep every night.
Well, it's in Austin. I've been there once, but not in a long time. But my wife's been there, and it's nice. It's a nice city. A lot of food, so
I'm excited.
You should be fine.
Yeah,
a lot of good barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, there goes. They're actually both of these teams are heading into the bye week. Cincinnati's heading into the bye week as well. So we'll enjoy the bye week and get back with some TCU previews. We'll probably do a few videos throughout the week and maybe some other matchups that are happening. But yeah, go Cougs, and make sure to subscribe if you watch this far. We're at like 29, so you can be our 30th.
30th, baby. Big
Yep.
3-0.
But yeah, we appreciate the views. Seems like before game time we get a lot. And so yeah, if you enjoy them, just make sure to hit the like. And we'll catch you on the next one.